turning our attention right now to the economy and the stock market. And there's a new wave of meme stocks, and it feels like a tsunami with all of these major companies and players now involved. And we can see this post right now from James Rogers saying Krispy Kreme joins the meme stock party. Tech and crypto strength may be fueling the wave, but Krispy Kreme, along with Opendoor, Kohl's, GoPro, just amongst the names. And you might know meme stocks from the previous iteration of GameStop and AMC. As we are following, the latest meme stocks include the donut maker, camera maker, GoPro, and also plant-based meat maker, Beyond Meat. Each company surging on Wednesday, even though overall they've been mostly struggling to notch profits. Let's be joined right now by financial columnist with MarketWatch, James Rogers. James, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And this is always an interesting subject, just to see the stocks move so dramatically upward. Why are these happening? What's going on? And can you kind of understand what's it about with meme stocks?
I mean, what's going on? It's the million-dollar question, really, isn't it? Just an absolutely wild ride this week. It's been really incredible. You know, we were looking at the share prices of Opendoor, you know, Kohl's earlier this week. You know, the stock was rising so dramatically. The trading volumes were just incredible. I think for Kohl's was trading at 20 times its typical volume. Like, stock was up more than 100%. And yeah, so what is this? You know, what are meme stocks? As you say, this concept seems to rear its head from time to time. We're very familiar with the meme stock explosion of 2021, you know, which really impacted GameStop and AMC, fueled by a lot of chatter on social media, which seems to be common to this latest iteration of the meme stocks as well. But there are some differences which I'll get into now. So this week you're looking at Opendoor, Kohl's, then Krispy Kreme. I was writing that Krispy Kreme story this morning, and then suddenly I was made aware that GoPro was exploding as well. And seems to be how it is. There's an element of whack-a-mole about this whole thing. You know, one pops up and then another one pops up. So on this go-around, what we're seeing this week, it seems to be that one thing that these stocks have in common is that they're all heavily shorted. So we know that short selling is when investors typically, you know, will be betting on a stock share price to decline rather than rise. So I spoke to a trader today who told me that, you know, a meme stock trader who told me that he became aware of Opendoor because of its high short interest. And the short interest refers to the number of shares that are sold short, but not yet repurchased or covered, as the expression is. So all of these stocks, or predominantly these stocks, they have this really, really high short interest. So that's something which seems to be defining this group. But then there are other things which I think we can look back to the meme stock explosion of 2021 and see some of the same things. There's a herd mentality here. You know, people are getting into these stocks because it's, you know, someone somewhere is saying it's the done thing. You know, they're looking for that possibility of an easy win. And this, again, we saw during the meme stocks explosion of 2021. But one big thing that, you know, I'd urge people to remember is, like, with these meme stocks, people are looking, it's not the company's fundamentals that are driving this explosion in their share price. It's literally just viral momentum. It's retail momentum. It's essentially, for want of a better word, it's buzz. And with that bring great volatility. You know, so the risks are there. You know, the risks were there in 2021. They were there last year when we saw a brief explosion in the meme stocks again. And they're there in this group again today. You know, some of them have pared back their gains, which is kind of how these things often play out. A couple of them are still doing okay today. But this is something that people need to be aware of. It's risk. This business. I know it's very, very interesting. You know, it makes for great headlines when a stock, you know, explodes over 100% for no reason. But the no reason is the thing that people need to focus on as much as the stock's explosion. Like, ask yourself why. And that's something that I would urge people to bear in mind with all of these. So with this group, and this is something we saw when there was a bit of a burst in the meme stock last year, the spikes seem to be lasting maybe 24, 48, maybe at a push 72 hours, but it's short and it's volatile, like, and it'll go up and it will come back again. With Opendoor, like Monday afternoon, I think it was, 3 p.m., bang, everything just pulled back really, really dramatically. It was a completely wild ride.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, and you explained it so well. You mentioned viral momentum. I think that's a good way to explain what these meme stocks are, but also the reason they are the meme stocks is because of the people that are shorting them. Can we go back to that genesis? Why are people shorting companies like Kohl's, like Krispy Kreme, like GoPro? What was the reason behind that that eventually leads to this?
Well, when in the first meme stock explosion in 2021, one of the elements of it was a desire to, retail investors would get behind the likes of, as you say, GameStop, AMC. And, there was an element of like, we're going to teach Wall Street a lesson here, right? We're going to take this to the shorts, and so that was a strong element, like almost like this, this taking aim at the establishment element of that particular meme stock explosion. What was different then, though, was the involvement of the influential trader Keith Gill, also known as Roaring Kitty, who played a pivotal role in what happened in 2021. And then he returned to social media last year for a period, and then there was another brief explosion. Now, this time round, he's been quite quiet. We haven't heard a meow from him. We haven't even heard a purr from Roaring Kitty for quite some time. I think his last post on X was in January. So, as from what we can see, we can't really add him to the mix this time. But I think there are other things that are common. Spoke to, I like to speak to behavioral finance experts, and same things that were being talked about in previous iterations of these meme stocks are being talked about now. Herd mentality. People want to be part of something. I get that. We all want community. And, this is an element in this. People are jumping on this bandwagon, if you will. The social media element of it is still the same. This stuff's all over X. It's still all over Reddit. We know the role that Wall Street Bets played in the meme stocks explosion of 2021. So these are still common themes. It hasn't gone away. It fascinates me, if I'm honest, that this hasn't gone away, and that people will still be happy to play this game when the fundamentals aren't there. So again, it points to that thing. I mean, someone told me this, described it to me this week as a mini bubble. Obviously, it's not like the internet bubble of the late 90s, but it is a small bubble. It's a group of people becoming really, really enveloped and involved in this one thing. And the share price is the result. So, but however fast these stocks go up, they decline. So again, it's caution. That's what I would urge people to approach these with. It's extreme, extreme caution.
You mentioned volatility, and that has been something we've talked about quite a bit. Uncertainty with the stock market, with tariffs and other facets under the Trump administration. Do you think the volatility of the stock market really accentuates the possibility for meme stocks?
Well, there's one school of thought out there, and this was mentioned in one of my stories today, where yes, this has been an incredibly volatile spell in the stock market. We saw what tariffs did to the market, and it was a bit of a shaky time for quite a while there. But there are other sectors of the market are doing really well. We've seen tech stocks are much stronger. We're seeing a lot of positivity and strength around crypto. Bitcoin has hit incredible levels, a record level recently. And, there's one school of thought out there which says that positivity, that bullishness may have bled into what we're seeing with these meme stocks now. Like, people are taking positivity from somewhere, from another area, another sector, and putting that into this group of stocks. They're looking to create that buzz, that positive momentum. And momentum is what it is, really. You know, it's viral momentum, it's retail momentum, and they're trying to apply it somewhere else. You know, maybe like some people feel like there's a good day to be had somewhere, so it may as well be this, you know, and let's make it such. So that's what we're seeing. You know, it's viral. It's, you know, it's, you know, maybe people that are out there, some people want to create order from chaos. And, you know, and I, you know, don't we all? But, you know, you've got to pick your targets very, very carefully if you're choosing to do that. And, you know, and you've got to live with the fallout. You know, it may not play out the way you want it to. And, you know, and yeah, look, it's the markets. People want a fast buck. Some people want to gamble. But, you know, be very, very careful about the horse that you're putting your money on. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and it all comes full circle, I guess, similar to the way Krispy Kreme likes to make their donuts. Can I ask you, what comes next? Are there any other stocks out there that haven't been meme stocks that you're keeping your eye on that could reach this level of Krispy Kreme, of GoPro, of Opendoor? Are there any other kind of companies out there that potentially could be a part of this trend?
Well, that's a difficult question. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, though. I am partial to the odd donut. So, like, I can answer that one categorically. What you see is, and you mentioned this earlier, is that, you know, there are some, the OG meme stocks are AMC and GameStop, right? So they will often get caught up in this, which again points to the virality of it. They've got nothing to do with Opendoor, absolutely not a thing to do with them, but Opendoor, you know, or some of these other names really, but just because it's a meme, they will jump up as well. So there's some of the names we looked at, you would look at. Last year, Chewy exploded for a period as well amid the meme stocks because of the, you know, the former, you know, the involvement that Ryan Cohen, who is now the CEO of GameStop, had with Chewy back in the day. So that kind of lifted it for a while. And Chewy was interesting actually because Chewy ended up with, you know, Chewy actually has quite strong fundamentals. So, you know, it was defined as a meme stock last year just because of this viral thing, but in reality, it wasn't. It was actually just, there was actually a lot of strong foundations, a lot of, as I say, strong fundamentals behind that stock. So, you know, it could be anything. I mean, I think, again, as I mentioned earlier, the heavily shorted aspect of this, these companies with the high short interest seem to be the targets for this. Now, that could be a lot of companies out there. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see. You know, you're asking me now at this point, I don't know what the next one is going to be. I'm not sure the market even knows. But we'll see. You know, who knows what tomorrow is going to bring?
I don't know what tomorrow will bring. That's kind of the name of the game in terms of the stock market, but especially with meme stocks. So, James, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It's a very interesting, fascinating subject. And some of these companies we mentioned are also very popular. Their name recognition also maybe alludes to this and makes it even more viral for that momentum. Thanks again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Andy. Take care.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great conversation there around those meme stocks as it is a roller coaster ride as they have somewhat come back down to earth in the recent days. We saw Kohl's, Krispy Kreme, GoPro, Opendoor, just to name a few earlier on this week. I'm Andy Mack. We're back after this.